I know this group has a lot of guts to brace the Bangalore traffic after 5 p.m. My wife goes to office at 11 and she's back with the driver 2 p.m. She's already back home. I said, what do you do? I told her, look, I go to office only to make sure that my attendance is there physically recorded in office. So with that, first and foremost, thank you so much for staying back. Second, I believe what we're going to talk today could be the most important KPI for you, me, and all the managers and senior managers out there. So I would request your attention, your thoughts, and participation. So what are we talking today? We're talking about, look, the topic is out just there. We're talking about Gen Zs. No, we are not talking about Gen Zs. We are talking about, we're going to hear from the horse's mouth, from the leaders with at least about 15 plus years of overall work experience in the subject matter expertise that you all come in. How can we impact Gen Zs without impacting their style and without impacting the organization objective? Ladies and gentlemen, you think this is a problem that we all need to solve together? Yes? If yes, can we have a big round of applause to the leaders out here in front of us? I'll tell you why I'm asking you to give them a round of applause. First, let me tell you the problem. The last person can hear me? Thank you. This is my favorite topic. Who is Gen Z? Gen Z is somebody who just got everything that they wanted from their parents. Name it, it was on Amazon, and it was on Amazon Prime, and it was in next day delivery. Imagine, I'm trying to tell you the problem. Then Gen Z went to the best of the best schools where raising the voice on the child was an offense, is an offense. Third, Gen Z, a slight uncomfort zone, parents feel more uncomfortable. Last, I'm Gen Z, I did not win a prize, so my wife went and negotiated for a consolation prize. Yes, that's Gen Z for you. And now, this Gen Z was picked by an international school bus or a chauffeur, picked, dropped, went to one of the big, brightest schools, and now you might have heard some stories that these guys, these parents are even accompanying them for interviews. Did any of you hear this on LinkedIn? Mother, father, one of them are accompanying even them for interviews. The best thing is you all should be happy that they are still in reception. They are not sitting and telling you what to interview. That might also come up. Okay? So this is the problem statement we currently have. And that's why I told you this group is going to brace those things for all of you. And it is the biggest problem. How do I lead Gen Z? The purpose in which they want to lead. I'll tell you why. I was talking to Rizwan today. There was a movie we were watching and this purpose word came too many times. My 11-year daughter tells me, what is this purpose? I explained her. Then she says, being chilled out, isn't that a better purpose? Why do you even need more than that? That is a fundamental disconnect that we're looking at. So ladies and gentlemen, I've said the problem statement. How many of you are managing teams? Every single person here? Attention. So with that, over to, I prefer to go through my notes. Asha. Asha, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? And then we'll move to the Q&A.
Hi everybody. I can see very dull faces and I'm really sorry that I'll probably come back to WFM and ask them never put us in the last slot. We'll try to make it as crisp and fast as possible to make sure that we are on the point and give you whatever we feel about. And a quick intro about myself is I'm Asha Subramanian and managing healthcare business and a lot of other things, and also CHRO for daily rounds and marrow. Previous to this, I was with Sudex Limited. Thanks.
Thank you. So Asha, glad you said you are CHRO and you do many other things. So this here is a complex question for you. How can an organization like yours effectively motivate Gen Zs? One, and while you motivate them, can you align to their expectations? Flexibility. Come by 12 and go back home by 2 p.m. And they have a purpose which is very different from the previous generation, and they want to grow fast. You do all that keeping in mind your business priorities as well. A very, very difficult question. I'm going to rephrase that once again for you. How can organization like yours effectively inspire Gen Z employees while aligning to their expectations and at the same time fulfilling your business expectations? You're on a double-sided sword.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Shekhar. So let me just start with a quick intro on what Shekhar was telling, right? What is Gen Z? I'm a big ambassador for a great ambassador for Gen Zs, and probably I would have worked with 10 to 15,000 Gen Zs in different stages. Today they might be millennials also, right? With my 15 years of experience. So it's one of the most fantastic experience what I've always felt when I'm working with them, right? And the mindset is same as what it is with us, but they're more clear, right? And their expectations are very well defined, which was not with us at the point when we started. Maybe it was the inception stages at the industry and other things, right? And for the fun part, what Shekhar, you told, I had another couple of anecdotes on that, Gen Z goes on vacation and sends a leave letter telling that this is a life-changing event. Right, that's the mail he writes to his manager, telling that I need 1 month of leave, and this is life-changing event for me. Or maybe somebody, when I started my career, came up to me who was a Gen Z, and he asked me, do you have a washing machine at your house? I was quite surprised because I was also new, and he told, I've shifted from Dubai, and my clothes are stacked up, and is it a possibility that I can come to your house and get it clean? So they're very clear about it, right? Pun apart, let me come to the question what you asked, the flexibility, purpose, and the growth, right? The flexibility part is you look at the gig workers, you look at the hybrid, these are all something which actually works with these people. Somebody came up to me in recent organization and told, I can't come to office until 2 p.m., right? And the reason is the entire night he's playing the online card and making money, right? And in the morning he can't get up and he can't come to office at 9 or 9:30. So when I talk about flexibility, right, they also like to have a side hustle, right? And we all had a side hustle. It's just that we were very scared to go back to our manager and tell that, hey, listen, I have a side hustle, right? These guys are very clear about it, that listen, this is my therapy time, this is my whatever time, right? I have to do this. So they have segregated it. So of hybrid is something which I feel works for them, right? And also when you do a hybrid, how do you bring in the accountability with these people, right? Maybe you put a very clear guidelines. I think with clear guidelines, it's worked wonder for us in Go IBBO. Coming to the purpose, right? A purpose, something all of us are working for a purpose, but sometimes we overlook that because we want that monthly salary, or maybe there are a lot of other things, we want to go to office, whatever it is. But for them, purpose is something every single day when I'm working. Why am I working? What is it giving to me? So attaching the organization purpose to their everyday work purpose is something very important. And how do you bring that? Probably your OKRs, KPIs, all these things, right? Defining them and also regularly talking to them about it, right? And the growth. For me, like, when I look at Gen Zs, the growth is something like, giving them a proper reward and recognition, or maybe like, good training programs, which again, not necessary. It's always about the work in the organization. Probably I like to do photography, I like biking. So like, giving me that chance, right? That is the growth for me. And also making sure that like, you have a regular career architecture, which tells from this level to next level, how do I go? So that is something which will actually excite them, your reward and recognition, making sure that like, it is done in a public forum for them, right? Or like, just not sending one mail to them. So these are something like, which will help and work when it's Gen Z. And I think it's a great experience to work with these people if you understand them. Today we just mock, or like, lot of us think that it's very difficult to work with them, but please try and understand these people. They are super awesome set of people whom you can work, but put across clear guidelines to these people, give them mentorship, give them sponsorship, and you can get best out of these people. So I hope I've answered you what.
Absolutely. I think you are very clear. They know what they want to do in their lives. Then it's very important to first understand it from their point of view, draw a line, a clear line, a roadmap for them, and provide flexibility. And also with that, you said you tagged something called reward. So important. With that, I have Syed Rizwan, the most important person in the room who decides how compensation should be done for Gen Zs. I would love to hear this. Syed, tell me, I remember when you and I got a campus placement, I think I looked at only three things. When can I join so that my salary starts coming from that date? Second, what is my CTC? Third, what is my take home? I think these were the only three things I saw in an offer letter. I think from then to now, there is a huge change in the way reward is managed globally. And it's super important to kind of keep our Gen Zs engaged. With that, the question is, total rewards is revolving, as I mentioned earlier. How do you design total reward system, a reward system that connects and speaks to Gen Zs? While you do that, you also have in a pharma kind of environment, you have regulatories, and you also need to kind of align to a global pharma standards. So it's a very difficult job. Can you tell us, how are you cracking this code?
Absolutely. I think we're all in this journey. We're just trying to figure out, right? We're trying and experimenting ways where we can very well work and integrate Gen Zs into the existing workforce. As I was gathering my thoughts, Shekhar, to form a response, right? The obvious thoughts that came to my mind was skill-based rewards, peer-to-peer recognition. But there's one thought that is an outlier and could be not an popular opinion, right? What truly drives Gen Z or even the current workforce, just beyond pay, I think it's the intrinsic rewards, right? What I mean by intrinsic rewards, the total rewards today must touch the heart as much as the wallet, right? What that means is what Asha alluded to, purpose as meaningful work. If we can connect an individual's work to the larger purpose, that can be achieved by strategic communication, right? Second is the culture. I know we talk a lot about culture, right? But what really matters for Gen Zs today is a kind of a safe workplace where they can challenge traditional ways of working things. They are bold, they like to speak up, right? And right? And a shared accountability where individuals can thrive, right? And the third one is the care and well-being. I'm not speaking about well-being, what we're used to in terms of physical, mental, and financial well-being, right? Care as a thought should be integrated into our talent management framework, right? How well do we equip our supervisors with emotional intelligence, right? Situational leadership, right? Are they only supervising, managing, or are they leading and coaching the employees? I think that's very important in my opinion. And lastly, to end this thought with, if we combine competitive pay, competitive benefits, plus the intrinsic elements, I think it's a powerful outcome, right? We will just not be able to retain the talent in the organization, but we will help these individuals to thrive professionally as well as personally.
Thank you. Wow. Let me confess, I was not expecting this from a strong left brain finance guy who rewards compensation. Honestly, I'm blown. So what is it? Rewards that connects the heart. I loved it. This connects with my personal statement. We are not head counts. Just change that head count to heart count. And trust me, people will love you, and let that come from your heart, not from your mouth, because Gen Zs can pick you up then and there. Heart count and care and well-being, so fantastically put in. So a reward that connects to the heart, and give them an environment where they can challenge your traditional systems. We don't like being challenged. I can challenge you all. A child comes and tells you why this. Most of the time we end up saying, just shut up and do what I say. Yes? I know we don't use that words in an organization, but we typically mean it. Just do I say, your age is my experience. And last but not the least, care well-being. Thank you so much. With that, we'll move to a little bit of a fashion segment to a friend who's sitting to my left, Rohit. Rohit, we contribution to India economy, and it's contributed in the past, but for some reason it doesn't get shown up. The technology and other things are always ahead. Tell me that we are talking about Gen Zs. Your Gen Z is an employee as well as a consumer, and you have a tough code to tack. How do you align your employee branding, so that your brand Gen Zs, are ahead and become your brand ambassadors, not just brand ambassadors, authentic ones?
Sure. Thanks, Shaker. My name is Rohit, and I head the human resource for Urban Fashions Limited. We are part of Urban family. Yes, we are into retail, apparel retail, so we have the brands like US Polo, Arrow, Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein. I know this is not a business presentation, but it's a very complex business because out of Roti Kapda Makan, I've done almost everything in my 20 years, all the three for that matter, but retail, I've seen the change in the last 20 years, what we used to hire from now where we are. I think it's a great question that what Shaker has put me on the spot, saying that they are both the consumers as well as the employee. It's very rarely that we get such a combination, because what you get in the store and what we have in the store is all the same, right? Now, when I look back, many years back, when we used to hire people from the campus, or even for that matter, the lateral, etc., we would look at more brand agnostic people, right? And why was it so? Because we would know that they are in need for job and they can fit into anywhere, and then they grow in life. I think the first most important thing, Shaker, if I have to reflect, is we now hire where brand reflect their identity. It's a huge shift from what we were doing. When we go to a campus or when we hire, we look at US Polo Association and then say, okay, this is what the brand stands for. USPA is youth, it's full of peace, it's great jeans. Now you look at Arrow. Arrow is a brand driven as a brand ambassador of Hrithik Roshan. It's a formal brand. Tommy is a very youthful brand, but then people who are more evolved. CK is a very fashionable brand. Shaker, trust me when I say this, when I go to a campus and we put the brands up there, people already start deciding where I want to go. Do I relate to Calvin Klein or do I relate to Tommy Hilfiger? They start saying that. And no more are we giving them choices. They come up to us and then say, hey, here is the brand I want to work for. And why does that happen? Because like I mentioned, it relates to their identity, that I take pride in wearing their brand, and thus I'm comfortable selling this brand. If I put someone who loves Tommy and then we put him or her in Arrow brand, which is a very formal brand, they will be out of sorts. And when a customer walks into your store, you will find that the person is struggling to explain what the product is, because the head count was heart count, right point. They're not selling from heart, they are selling from head, right? The other point, the first is about the identity. I think the second is that, Shekhar, when we hire people, you spoke about Gen Z as an employee, we have to give them an experience that relate to their world. When I say that, it's both the customer as well as the store experience. Now, when I say a store experience, I'm sure all of us will remember a time when we go into a store, we don't find a size and then we walk out, right? We go to the very next store. Now, when you go to a store in retail, they are so consumer obsessed that they will figure out a solution for you then and there, where they will go online and even place an order for you if they don't have the size or color that you don't have. They are no more worried about the incentive. They are more worried about the brand sale. You know, they go back and relate to saying that, hey, am I helping Arvind as a brand or USP as a brand? And I'm not selfish enough to say that's their job and this is my job, right? Now, if you cut that, what do employees look inside the store? There was a time when customers come into the store, when they start clicking pictures, I'm sure all of us will recall that they will stop them, hey, what are you doing about it? Now we encourage, we tell them that put it on a reel, put a Snapchat, put it on LinkedIn, put it on your Insta, because we want to be known by the larger world. We encourage, I'm sure there is a very large brand, which is now known as a place where you just take selfies and go out, even if you don't buy. You know, that's the kind of world we are looking at. So, Shekhar, in a nutshell, if I have to say, one is it has to reflect the brand ambassadors. If you are looking at the employee themselves, it has to reflect their identity. And number two is definitely that it has to live their world, because almost 1/3 of their day they spend with us. And if that's not a space they relate to, I think it's a matter of time we lose that.
Wow, thank you so much. Firstly, your acknowledgement is a win for me, because a lot of companies today don't exist because they did not acknowledge that they were not relevant. I'm sure every single person remembers Kodak, but they don't exist today. But a big acknowledgement means your leadership is already thinking about it or thought through it very, very well. Thank you so much for that. And I think quite smart panties, Arvind, you are using neuroscience. Yeah, but your candidates don't know that. But yes, you're clearly using neuroscience, and yes, I'm showing off one of your genes product too on the stage. And what I liked about the biggest takeaway is on-spot solutions beyond incentives. The moment I know that this product gives me incentives, you have seen, right? A lot of in-house people sell that product. But the moment you give that empowerment that the customer experience matters the most and you will be taken care of, and that's when they start selling from their hearts, not their brains. And most importantly, I love this, I think every company should do this, is show up where they thrive. Gen Z thrives on Insta. I mean, better you be there. Thank you so much. So with that, last but not the least, we have many things. Durga, hi. Healthcare. Again, we both are colleagues. I come from an healthcare firm. It's not easy, you know, to run an healthcare firm, especially it is India to India business. So they faced, I think healthcare may be the only sector which has faced unpredictable times, pre-COVID, COVID and post-COVID. And there's burnout. There's nothing like employee welfare fit, while I know you guys do many, many things. Tell me, how do you reshape schedules? How do you reshape developments of your people? And what kind of psychological safety that you offer to Gen Z so that they are retained and they thrive and they just don't look for less easier jobs?
Right, thanks, Eka. I think if we have to rewind and look at the generation, it's not about just Gen Z. If we look at the multi-generational shifts, the aspirations has always remained the same. Only thing, the objective, or rather the approaches to all those aspirations has changed over time. Call it work, call it reward, call it development, growth, and many of those talent practices around the HR value chain. Just to cite an example, the verbiage of a nurse who used to come and link with us 10 years before, what was my take-home salary? And 5 years before, it was what was my CTC, probably linking to social security benefits, PF, ESI, and now we talk of what is my package. So it encapsulates a larger total reward framework in terms of insurance, benefits, flexibility, offs, and larger connotations around the total reward framework we were talking of. Coming yes, to your question, I think we realize that in healthcare, we're a very diverse workforce. We have nurses, paramedics, front office staffs, allied workforce, and then all the business workforce like HR, finance, quality, IT, and a lot of those functions. Very difficult, and we realize that it's not one size fits all. That will not have a uniform approach to all this. But yes, some of the basics have worked. We realize that it's not rules at work, it's relations at work. Again, coming to that head count to heart count, that really helps us. And some of those practical approaches, giving people the flexibility to choose shifts, swap duties. We really don't go by those legislations of labor laws, times of work and off. Giving people a break during midnight to have a sound rest so that they can attend to patients at ease. So there are some of the real-time shifts that has helped us to navigate the burnout and stress you were talking of. In terms of development, I think it's a continuous journey. Development, people have realized today attention spans are very, very limited, so we don't make that efforts of getting people to a training room anymore, which was 10 years back, and forcing them to learn a module. Everything is e-module, and today we talk of anytime, anywhere, any device learning, bit-size learning, leaderboards, gamification, all that keeps them related to learning. And of course, the career pathway, very, very important for Gen Zs. They seek purpose and meaning in everything do. So on that note, the conventional climb the ladder model today doesn't work. So it's got to be two-dimensional. We encourage nurses to grow from their own functional streams to administrative streams. So it's career lattices, career patterns. We have many live examples of nurses transitioning to quality roles, operational roles. We have leadership roles, nurses conventionally taking leadership roles. So those are some of the big shifts happening, and in terms of giving people and nurses a psychological safety. And there's so many tools available today, but as an organization, we largely prophesize that it's okay not to be okay for the kind of stress they take. So the helplines, the psychological support, there were very, very anonymous tools where you could reach out to experts, psychologists, 24/7. But largely, encouraged and created an ecosystem where you are not seeing, any kind of, this is not seen as a social taboo, but widely recognized, appreciated, and celebrated. So it's okay not to be okay kind of a culture that really helps us pivot through this.
Thank you so much. I'm surprised that there is 24/7 facilities for mental well-being of people who take care of us. We have seen them, right? In large shifts. First of all, that's a great acknowledgement. Thank you so much. And what I liked is, you didn't say, what do we do? You didn't give me a list of 4, but you said ongoing. I love that culture, because the moment you make it 1, 2, 3, 4, then we stop there. But ongoing is because it's always evolving. And one of the biggest takeaways that I'm taking from today is that you are taking care, really doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And most importantly, I love the term relationships at work. And I know that you play in a very, very niche space. Thank you for your inputs on that. I think the time is running. I'm known for that, my famous filter coffee with shaker session, but I don't think so. We have time for that, right? Do we have 5 minutes? Or we are done? Yeah, okay. There's no time for filter coffee at Taj and here. So, and this is a disadvantage when we come at the last. But having said that, I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I hope all of you brave people out there going back with what at least I'd be very happy if you are going back home with 4 top tips about how could you manage a Gen Z. I think this 40 minutes assigned would be of great use. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. Thank you, leaders, for taking your time out. Guys, a big round of applause for our team who made that happen. Thank you.